Local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News starts now.
We made promises to the people of Florida, and we have delivered on those promises.
So when you see the results across this country tonight, that's what it's all about.
Commitment 2022 brings a red wave sweeping across the state of Florida.
It's a landslide in the governor's race for Republican incumbent Ron DeSantis. Democrat and former Governor Charlie Crist is soundly defeated. Same story in Florida's race for U.S. Senate. Republican Senator Marco Rubio cruising to a third term, defeating Democrat Val Demings.
Republican Ashley Moody wins re-election in the race for Attorney General over Democrat Aramis Ayala. And we've got more results from tonight scrolling at the bottom of your screen.
We'll have live reports from campaign headquarters across the state in just a moment, but we start with the immediate threat from Tropical Storm Nicole as it makes a beeline for the Florida coast.
Beach erosion is the biggest threat we'll face along the Central Florida coast right now. WESH 2's Gail Pascal Brown and Dave McDaniel are along the Central Florida shoreline where hurricane warnings are already in effect.
We begin with Chief Meteorologist Tony Bonalfi and meteorologist Alex Alisi with the latest on Nicole's path and impacts.
And you know, tonight, Alex, looking at what the hurricane hunters are showing us, there doesn't look to be any deviation from the original thinking. The model trends now squarely on Central Florida. You're going to be breaking down a lot of the impacts here too.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to be watching out for all that as we go, of course, over the next few days.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a look at some of the key messages here as of the 10 o'clock update. Again, the potential there, as we just mentioned, for significant coastal beach erosion and flooding. We'll continue to monitor that. We're also going to be watching for localized flooding back through the interior, especially on the heels of what Ian did and along the St. Johns River. The timing, we're going to go with Wednesday night and Thursday. We think it's going to be a little bit quicker than some of the runs earlier in the day that are coming in. So we're hoping that by Friday, the storm will be well to the north. As you can see, even the Hurricane Center's latest forecast cone does have it well to the north of us by about 7 p.m. on Thursday. Sometimes, though, you can get these lingering fingers of moisture. We'll watch that. And you can see the trends on the models now centering in on Central Florida. They had drifted up to the north late this afternoon. They're kind of drifting back just a little bit. Bottom line, net effect, all of Central Florida is under a warning, whether it's a hurricane warning along the coast or inland tropical storm warnings, meaning that within 36 hours, tropical storm force winds are expected. Now, the storm itself is about 300 miles east of Stewart, but the wind field is almost 500 miles wide, and it's driving in some gusty winds and some coastal showers. And with that, the beach erosion is just part of the equation. There's a whole lot more than that, right, Alex?
Yeah, that's right. Not only is the beach erosion very high, but the wind gust threat is going to be high as well. That's going to cause some issues for power. Flooding also at a medium risk. We do expect to see some isolated spots of 8+ inches of rain. Of course, the tornado risk also on the low side, but not zero. As we take a look at the wind field here, we are expecting to see hurricane force winds across parts right along the coastline. This is a little bit updated, keeping that hurricane force winds a little bit further offshore, but we do expect widespread tropical storm force winds across Central Florida. Rainfall, again, most of us watching out for isolated 8+ inches of rain, but a big swath along the coastline of 4 to 8 inches of rain, 4 to 6 inches of rain across Marion, Sumter, and into Lake County, and then that rain will start to taper off as you work your way out towards the west. So bottom line of timing, rain and wind is going to pick up as we go through the morning tomorrow. I expect the worst weather arriving as we go into Wednesday evening. So past 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and as we get into the evening, those winds are going to really start to pick up the pace. By Friday, we watch out for some gradual clearing south to north. So again, Wednesday evening into Thursday morning is when we expect the worst of the weather to move on in. Coming up in a few minutes, I'm going to be breaking down the county by county impacts. Plus, we have some of the looks at the evacuation zones for Flagler, Volusia, and Brevard County. Bottom line, if you live along the coastline, we're going to be dealing with the worst of the weather, and that's also where most of those evacuations are going to be occurring. Again, I'll break that all down for you coming up in just a few minutes.
Alex, thanks. When Nicole makes landfall as a hurricane, it's likely to deliver more misery to neighborhoods that were flooded by Hurricane Ian's drenching rains and a knockout punch to the Central Florida coast, which already has some deep scars. WESH 2's Dave McDaniel is live tonight in Brevard County. And Dave, some folks are just getting over Ian, and now this.
Well, that's absolutely the case. You know, when we spoke with you about an hour ago from Cocoa Beach, there was really quite a bit of wind, but now it's even picked up. It's much more blustery. When we came into town, we saw plenty of people out and about. We saw some folks that were open for business, but you can see what's going on here in the surf. Look at the surf just rolling out there. The ocean is a washing machine right now. All of that being driven in by Nicole, a storm that is approaching the Florida coast. Waves pushing into shore as Nicole takes aim on Florida's east coast, crashing into the Cocoa Beach pier, at times nearly up to the bottom of the deck. Beach erosion up and down is likely, more than a month after Ian. Evacuations are suggested for people in flood-prone areas in Brevard County, but lights at beachfront condos show plenty of people are still around.
We still don't live in our house.
It's not just on the coast where Nicole is bringing a sense of dread. Ian sent Lake Harney to record levels and water into Glen Castle's home for the first time ever. Only recently could they reach the house without a canoe and started lining up people to fix the damage.
We just could start taking vehicles, getting workers, just started the work in the last 10 days. They're all, of course, now canceling and pausing because we got to now wait and see, are we going to start all over again?
Every inch of rain will make a difference inland. Where Nicole makes landfall will make a big difference on the coast.
And again, with Ian, we saw a storm that was incredibly strong and incredibly wet. Now we've got Nicole coming up just 5 weeks later. That's why there's so much concern. Reporting live in Cocoa Beach, Dave McDaniel, WESH 2 News.
All right, Dave, thank you. And 6 weeks after Hurricane Ian gashed much of Central Florida's coastline, Nicole looks like it is going to do the same thing.
A thunderous coastal pounding is ramping up, forcing evacuations and warnings about severe erosion. WESH News' Gail Pascal-Brown is live in Volusia County, where leaders are focused on safety. Gail?
Absolutely, Jim. And you know, Volusia County is under a hurricane warning. We are here live at Daytona Beach International Airport, where you can see it's business as usual, but the airport and terminal airfield will close at 12:30 Wednesday because of Tropical Storm Nicole. The airport will reopen Friday at 4 a.m. Volusia County has issued a mandatory evacuation order starting at 10 in the morning to all businesses and residents east of the Intracoastal Waterway. Now, that includes all mobile homes and areas which are prone to flooding. Neighboring Flagler County also issued an evacuation order.
Because of the storm's impacts and our weakened dune system, we will be issuing evacuation orders tomorrow. These orders will apply to all residents and businesses in Zone A, our barrier island, from Flagler Beach up to Marineland, as well as mobile homes and RVs countywide.
Flagler County Emergency Management Director says that if your evacuation plans do take you out of the area, it's best that you leave tonight or first thing in the morning. Rimfire Elementary School in Flagler County will open at 3:30 tomorrow as an evacuation shelter. It is pet friendly and it will serve special needs as well. Now, there are 4 shelters opening tomorrow in Volusia County starting at 10. And I also want to tell you, too, that Volusia County does have a curfew, and that curfew takes place from 7 p.m. Wednesday to 7 a.m. Thursday. It's all about making sure that visitors as well as residents are safe. I'm Gail Pascal-Brown reporting live in Volusia County for WESH 2 News.
You could count on WESH 2 to bring you the latest on Tropical Storm Nicole. Get the WESH 2 mobile app to keep track of the forecast on the go. It's free to download to any of your devices.
And now to Commitment 2022 election coverage. Governor Ron DeSantis is celebrating a big victory tonight, further fueling speculation on whether he will serve all 4 of a new term or pursue loftier goals. WESH 2's Amanda Dukes is in Tampa covering the DeSantis campaign tonight. Amanda?
Well, Governor DeSantis not only won re-election in a landslide tonight, but he spearheaded a Republican red wave in Florida that swept all 4 cabinet seats and the U.S. Senate race. Needless to say, his supporters who came here to Tampa to celebrate with him tonight were jubilant. Now, the governor and his wife, Casey, took the stage at about 9 p.m. The governor used his speech to highlight his accomplishments during his first term, claiming under his leadership for freedom.
We chose facts over fear. We chose education over indoctrination. We chose law and order over rioting and disorder. Florida was a refuge of sanity when the world went mad. We stood as a citadel of freedom for people across this country and indeed across the world.
Now, the governor claimed that this election has rewritten the political map, solidifying Florida no longer as a battleground state, a swing state, but indeed as a solidly red state. Now, At the end of his speech, the crowd did chant 4 more years, but of course, Governor DeSantis is rumored, believed to be running for president possibly in 2024. So whether or not that will happen, that remains to be seen. Live in Tampa, Amanda Dukes reporting, WESH 2 News.
Former Governor Charlie Crist returned to his hometown to concede his latest race for governor. Crist says despite the loss, he's at peace. He was still all smiles when he walked on the stage to deliver his concession speech, very grateful to his supporters. Still unclear what's in store for the career politician now.
And it's been an absolute blessing to serve as your governor before, to serve as the congressman from my hometown. I feel like the most blessed man ever.
It wasn't all somber when Crist left the stage. He held his fiance's hand and said now they can get married. And there's just a few more races we need to go ahead and tell you about tonight.
The first to be called tonight is U.S. Congress District 10 in Orange County. Democrat Maxwell Frost is now the first member of Gen Z elected to Congress, defeating Republican Calvin Wimbish. Frost is just 25 years old, winning Val Deming's old seat, which she gave up to run for Senate.
I didn't run because to be the first Gen Z member of Congress, right? I ran to represent District 10 and the people here in Central Florida because I believe in our state. But it's a big part of the story, right? Gen Z and millennials make up a third of our country, but we're nowhere near a third of government. And I think we need a government that looks like the people. So I'm excited to bring that representation to Congress. I'm the first, but I definitely won't be the last.
Another big local race tonight is U.S. Congress District 7, which is now turned red. Republican Corey Mills has defeated Karen Green. The seat was open because Democrat Stephanie Murphy chose not to run for re-election. Next, we check in on a race the whole state and country is watching.
Republican Marco Rubio wins a 3rd term in the U.S. Senate. We are live in Miami, where he is celebrating yet another win tonight.
And we are tracking Tropical Storm Nicole and looking at how much rain Central Florida is expecting in the next 48 hours.
WESH 2 First Warning Weather is tracking Nicole.
I'm meteorologist Kelly A. Class. Get the latest on the impacts we can expect in Central Florida starting tomorrow morning on WESH 2 News Sunrise.
There's a lot that goes into covering breaking news in Central Florida. Leads, research, relationships. It's the foundation for what we do. Dedication takes us into the story, and it's the story that drives our dedication. This is WESH 2 News. Download the free WESH 2 News app today.
Incumbent Republican Marco Rubio has secured his 3rd term in the Senate after defeating Congresswoman Val Demings.
WESH 2's Angela Rozier is with the Rubio team tonight in Miami, where celebrations are underway.
That's right. The crowd thinning out here tonight. But I can tell you one thing. Some of those early polls showed U.S. Senator Marco Rubio and his challenger Val Demings pretty close in the race. But after the polls closed today, Rubio's lead soared and the senior Florida senator declared the winner. Now, when Rubio marched across that stage today here at his victory party, he was greeted with hugs and cheers for some of his supporters here tonight. He also told his supporters that it was great to be in the red county of Miami-Dade. There was also a placard on that podium where he spoke today. That placard stated, "Getting things done." That was the theme throughout his victory speech today, as well as he told everyone why he got there, how he got there, and how politics isn't complicated.
They want to be able to have a job that pays a decent wage. They want to be able to live in a home that they own, in a neighborhood that is safe. They want their kids to go to schools that teach truth. They want to be able to retire with dignity, and they want all 4 of their kids to have a life better than the life they've had. This is not complicated. This is what they want.
And he says the people who make this country great have been forgotten and they have been left behind. He also says when we wake up tomorrow morning, he says that he hopes to see a new Republican majority in the United States Senate. Reporting live in Miami-Dade, Angela Rozier, WESH 2 News.
Meanwhile, here in Orlando, Senator Rubio's opponent, Congresswoman Val Demings, officially conceded her race for U.S. Senate. She said while they did not get the results they wanted, the fight is not over.
We can never tire of doing good. We must look to our next fight to stand for the values we believe in and hold America to its promise of liberty and justice.
Demings thanks her family for standing by her side these last 17 months during her campaign.
Now to Tropical Storm Nicole, which will make landfall in Florida as a hurricane, and we're still kind of assessing the impacts that it's going to have here in Central Florida.
We are. You know, these Hurricane Hunter missions are vital to kind of helping us take a look at what potentially could lay down the road. The models tonight, as Alex and I have been looking at, kind of settled right here in Central Florida, maybe down towards Indian River. So we're going to have significant impacts, Alex.
Oh, yeah, that's for sure. Yeah. I mean, the coastal impacts are going to be great, and then, of course, the wind field is so large that it doesn't really matter so much where it makes landfall. We're going to be feeling those impacts.
Just amazing listening to the live shots, too, with Dave out there tonight, hearing that wind and talking about what he's seeing out there. It's a testament of what's coming our way. All right, let's begin. I want to show you what the hurricane hunters are finding out there right now, just to the east of the Bahamas. 74 mile an hour wind there on that northeastern quadrant, pressure at 984 millibars. They're diving all over the place, taking the measurements in all the different quadrants so that when the next model runs start coming on in, we can feed the latest information we have with the atmosphere as we look at it vertically and apply that to what's going to happen down the road. Given what we have already, the forecast cone is tightening on up, but don't be fooled by that. Just because you don't see yourself in the cone Daytona Beach up towards Palm Coast, you are going to have the same impacts as folks in Stewart, Tampa, and right here in Orlando. There's going to be a whole lot of wind. That's the reason why you are under a tropical storm watch or a hurricane warning or hurricane watch in Flagler County. Look at the models here, how they trended to the north late last night and early this morning, and then this afternoon they're settling back towards the south and the west, right over Central Florida or just to the south of us. And because of that, and just a quick friendly reminder, if you're not in the cone by this time tomorrow, you're still going to have all the impacts we have been discussing. All of Florida is in the red. Look at the size now of this wind field. This is just a testament of what's headed our way. And the sustained tropical storm force winds now, about 70 miles off the east coast there of Brevard County. That's going to be working westward. You can see already tonight, winds sustained 30, 35, 40 miles an hour, and pockets of rain coming on in from the northeast towards the southwest on that northwestern periphery of that circulation with Nicole. GFS forecast just updated. This is the 00Z run. Look at 10 p.m., 50, 55 mile an hour winds. 2 a.m., center of the storm just to the south of Palm Bay, nearly hurricane force winds. That wind burst comes into the metro areas 5, 6, 7 o'clock in the morning, builds off towards the north and the west. I kind of like what the GFS is doing here based on the overall model trends tonight. Because of that, the potential for hurricane force winds along the coast, and as we work our way inland, it's going to be awfully close. May get some gusts there, and that's why we think the potential for power outages here is going to be a little bit higher along the core of the strongest winds with the center of circulation as we go through Wednesday night on into Thursday. Alex?
Yeah, that's right, Tony. So as you're saying, the wind speeds are going to be a major issue for the inland areas. I think that the coast is going to be really dealing with these coastal concerns. Big waves are on the way. You can see as we go into Wednesday morning, already seeing 9 to 14 foot waves moving their way into the coastline. Notice this lighter green. That's 15 to 20 foot waves. Those move in as we head towards 8:30 in the evening on Wednesday. That's right around high tide. So again, with the high tide and these large waves and all the damage that Ian did, this is going to spell some major concerns here for our friends along the coast. As we continue into Thursday morning and into Thursday evening, the bigger waves start to recede, but still 9 to 14 foot waves as we go into Thursday evening. It's not until we get into Friday that those wave heights start to come back down. And so you can see by Thursday, watching those seas 20 to 25 feet, 14 to 19 foot waves. And then by Friday, that really drops on down 4 to 6 foot waves as we go into Friday. By Saturday afternoon, back down towards normal. So as we take a look at the impacts for Flagler County, again, beach erosion, major issue, localized 8+ inches of rain, max wind gusts up to hurricane strength, 70 to 80 mile per hour winds. That's why, again, we do have some watches and warnings in effect there. Volusia County, hurricane warning in effect, especially along the coast there. Max gusts 75 to 85+ mile per hour winds, 5 to 8 inches of rain, isolated 8+. And down in Brevard County, more of the same. Watching out for the beach erosion, max gusts 75 to 85 miles per hour. And again, there are some evacuation orders expected tomorrow for Zone A. So from Marineland, A1A along it into the east, all the way down through Palm Coast and down towards the south near Beverly Beach and Flagler Beach. You should be planning on evacuating as we go into the day tomorrow. Volusia County, also mandatory evacuations in the Zone A, so mostly on the east side of the intracoastal, also in all the low-lying areas near those rivers and streams, Ponce Inlet, down towards the south near New Smyrna Beach, and further down to the south along Oak Hill. Again, if you live on the east side of Ridgewood Avenue there, US 1, you're going to and get to higher ground and get away from the coast. Brevard County, not mandatory, but voluntary evacuations, mostly along the coastline as well. Again, if you live in lower lying areas, you'll want to take those actions. Thursday, worst of the weather moves on in. Next weekend, we start to clear things back up and much cooler weather on the backside of the storm. Sunday and Monday, highs in the mid-70s.
Alex, thanks. This just in, 250 passengers are safe after an Aer Lingus flight made an emergency landing at Daytona International Airport tonight.
The flight was going to Manchester from Orlando. The passengers got off the plane and were put on buses to be taken back to Orlando International Airport for hotel accommodations and new flights to Manchester.
Those buses were courtesy of FPL, which had them at the Speedway nearby as part of its severe weather response. The plane remains at the airport for evaluation. You're watching WESH 2 News at 11.
As parts of Central Florida still recover from Ian and the potential for Nicole to impact our area, it's our job to keep you informed ahead of the storm. Whether you're watching us live on TV, Facebook, or WESH 2 app, our whole team is committed to getting you through. I'm Chief Meteorologist. This is WESH Warning Weather.
For the latest on Ian, stay with WESH 2. Download the WESH 2 app for updates now.
The Republican incumbents in two of our largest races are keeping their seats.
Governor Ron DeSantis and Senator Marco Rubio will remain in office. WESH 2 political reporter Greg Fox is here to break down the results and change for the state of Florida.
It sure looks like that. It has that feel tonight. You know, we used to talk about turning the state back to blue like it was before Republicans gained control of the State House in the mid-90s. But tonight's results prove it's getting redder and redder. In fact, it's hard to argue we're much of a swing state anymore. Take a look first at the results in the governor's race. Ron DeSantis wins by nearly 20 points. It's a landslide, Amanda pointed out earlier. He outraised Charlie Crist 10-1, and tonight DeSantis even won Miami-Dade County, proving the non-Cuban Latino population of Florida is moving closer to the center right. Moving on to the Senate race, Marco Rubio wins a third term with nearly 60% of the vote. He raised less money than Val Demings, got little help from the national Republican cities, and campaigned on a hard right message: don't vote for radicals. 38 online has Florida as a plus 7.5 Republican state going into this election. Tonight it seems closer to a plus 10. More than 100 years, Democrats will not have one office or in the U.S. Senate. Tonight, Republicans picked up at least 3 seats in the U.S. House. Florida Democrats will now try and target Senator Rick Scott if he runs for re-election in 2024.
We always have political intrigue here in Florida.
Well, and tonight it took it to another level.
Yes, it sure did.
It did. Yeah. All right, Greg, thank you.
Back in Orange County, voters deliver a resounding no to raising the county sales tax by 1 penny to pay for significant all manners of transit, including Lynx and Sunrail. Over a year. Not to certify the results due to a lawsuit and
Nicole was predicted to make landfall in Florida in less than 48 hours, but they're already being felt on the Central Florida coast.
Our first warning return with the forecast after the break. Next 48 to 72 hours are going to be very critical here in Central Florida.
Yeah, let's take a look at that cone, because it's interesting to note that here over the last 12 to 24 hours, it has sped up just a little bit. In fact, you can see by the time we get to Thursday evening, it's already up towards the Big Bend. And the important takeaway, though, is, look, it's going to come in very close to the southern reaches of our viewing area, curve our way, lots of impacts, flooding, beach winds, severe weather risk.
That's right. Again, the cone shows the center of the storm. It doesn't show the extent of the impacts, and those impacts are going to be well extended to the center of that storm. So prepare for the strong winds, and especially along the coast, you might want to take those notices seriously.
So heading into the weekend.
There really is. I mean, we're going to be dealing with just beautiful weather as we head to the other side of the system. Look at that cooler weather, 75 degrees for the high on Sunday and Monday, and back into the 80s as we get into Tuesday.
That's like what normal should be for this time of year.
Right. It's November.
What we have to go through just to get back to normal. Our coverage of Nicole continues with updates all night. And starting at 4 a.m., meteorologist Kellyanne Klass and Eric Burris will have the latest advisories throughout the morning. WESH 2 News is always on at WESH.com or the WESH 2 News mobile app.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the morning.